Well, hey, Santi.
Hey, BATJAC. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your knife?
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
You gonna try some of that?
I'm gonna. Yeah.
Why don't we tell them what that is before they start thinking it's
Drugs, heroin, black tar heroin.
Yeah, right.
It's not black tar heroin.
It is actually long ball licorice, which is designed by a fella that made this specifically for ball players, baseball players, because they're phasing out tobacco in baseball games. So they created this, and it's a plug style. That's what they call it. So it actually was a lot larger because we've eaten quite a bit of it. Or I have. This is the first time you've had it.
It's just black licorice.
Yeah. I actually bought it because it had Babe Ruth on it, and I'm a baseball fan. So, but it's
cool.
really good. I'm a big fan of licorice, and it's really difficult to find a decent licorice. And this is actually some pretty decent stuff.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
It tastes good. You know, it's even though it's licorice, it's not that it doesn't taste fake. It must be
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, no, it is good. Yeah, and I realized, I think, when I looked at all the stuff about it, it's actually kind of new. It's only been out for like a year or two.
Really?
And he gets the licorice from Australia.
Australia?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know Australia was like the home to licorice.
So right now they're in the filming of this. Actually, we're at our famous trail dust town.
We are. Yep.
And there's a restaurant that opened now, so it makes it a little difficult for filming stuff.
Yeah, we had to sort of find a place where people weren't wandering around sightseeing.
Because
Pancake House moved in over there,
Yeah.
and now there's all sorts of people wandering around.
And I've actually had questions on the channel about that. What is it like filming these skits for the YouTube videos or the Ghostwriters and all that? I've actually had a lot of people ask that it must be fun, it must be a riot, or what is it like? Is it difficult? Is it?
I think it's fun. Obviously, it's fun. You can see us laughing all the time.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't.
We have a good time. I think the hardest part is that none of us are professional photographers. So, we for instance, if I'm shooting a Ghostwriter sequence, I try to find a good background, and light is of the utmost essence. Like today, it's kind of hazy, so we're okay.
Right.
But if you get that direct sunlight coming in, it kind of puts shadows, and it's. I don't have enough resources to make that better. So sometimes it's about finding out where we can get good light and where there's nobody blowing leaves all over the place.
I think I've had a lot of extra clips of that chasing the leaf blower guy, or him chasing us.
Yeah.
Or I distinctively remember we were filming one of these for my channel, and we were at the Fort Lowell Museum or Park or something.
Oh yeah.
And the mower literally chased us.
Yeah.
I think we moved locations 3 times.
It's like he saw us and headed right towards us, even though he had just mowed that area. For some reason, I guess he felt the need to track us down. Like,
I swear. I think they like, as the old saying goes, if you're involved in this, everything goes to hell when you hit the record button.
Yeah, almost always.
Everything is just down the tubes when you hit record.
What's weird to me is that sometimes I don't hear some of the sounds until
post-production.
Yeah, because all of a sudden across the street is a Target and an Albertsons shopping center, and they do morning deliveries. So you hear that backup beep, beep, beep. And for some reason, I can't hear it when we're filming, but it comes in post. So,
or you always get it's like when you're watching one of those pirated movies that somebody took their camera to the theater and they're filming the screen,
right?
And you just see the guy get up like middle of the movie with his popcorn bag. You know?
Right. Yeah.
It was always funny.
I've seen a number of those. I think we all have.
Yeah.
You know.
They're never that good.
No. And in this day of high definition and ultimately amazing color, why would you go and watch a crappy version of that.
Yeah,
You know,
and
diluted, undersaturated, whatever the case may be.
and you know that kind of like brings me to a subject of we live in such a digital, like everything is just HD high def, and we forget about where we came from. VHS. I was a VHS guy. I had a very large collection of VHS stuff, and when you've like grew up from that, and then now everything is HD, everything has got to be high definition, and you just kind of like you turn your head up at like V8 or this 480 quality that
Right.
they do online. It's like everybody's concerned with 720 or 1080p or anything like that.
Right.
So,
No, that's true. And what's difficult is I put a lot of movie clips in my videos, and a lot of those neat ones are the ones from the old TV days that have
Right.
been not digitized now, but still the digitizing doesn't upscale them necessarily. So what
Right.
happens is you still get that same
the green.
old 4:3, whatever that format was back in the
Right.
day, and it's grainy and it's hard to get. I just heard that they digitally remastered some like Little House on the Prairie and Star Trek. I didn't know that. So they're remastering everything.
Yeah, everything is going through like I guess I always wondered if they do like a whatever Blu-ray version of it or something like that. Did they take the VHS source and clean it up from there, or did they go all the way back to the negatives and then clean it up from the negatives?
Maybe somebody out there knows. I actually don't know. I would imagine that they probably do go to the original film,
Yeah.
re-import it digitally at a higher resolution.
Right.
That's all I can think that they're doing. I don't know. Because there are softwares out there that will take an existing video
Right.
and it'll upscale it.
Right.
But what it's doing is it's adding pixels, from what I understand. So you don't know what those pixels are going to be.
Yeah.
It's guessing. I think the best it can.
Yeah. It's like, and then growing up with my grandfather at his house, it was like the TV was like 12 little clicks, and you literally. There was actually like a telephone desk,
Right.
where the rotary phone was there with the Rolodex and a phone book.
And you remember on the knob there were like ones that you didn't understand, like UHF or something.
Yeah, there was
What
like,
does that
what
mean?
is that one? And it was always like, and then messing with the antenna on the top.
Yeah.
But now everything is just, but it's interesting to me. Like I find it interesting. Like people watch this video. Like right now, there's chances of somebody watching this on their phone is greater than somebody watching this on TV.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Well, if it's on TV, it's got to be like a smart TV.
Yeah, like a smart
setup
TV or
something.
some kind of streaming way that
Yeah.
they've done it.
Mhm.
And it's just all very interesting that this time is this whatever.
It's a different era.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. I was talking to somebody about this, and you know how I kind of figured on this, like how you can tell what generation they're from when they pick up say they pick up a cordless phone, right?
Mhm.
That you actually got to punch real numbers. They're not touchscreen. They will punch in the number, then hit send or the green telephone thing that makes call. They'll do the number first, then they'll hit that, because that's how these new things work. But if you're from the time where rotary dial and stuff like that, you turn it on first, then dial the number.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the way you did it.
I'm trying to remember back. I had an early cell phone in the late 90s.
They were called portables.
Portables, yeah, they weren't called cell phones, maybe. I seem to remember it had like a mouthpiece that folded down, because the
Yeah.
thing was big. It was,
It
it was big, and it had a mouthpiece that folded down, and I thought that was the coolest thing.
Mhm.
I'm like, James Bond, man! Look at the mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays we're trying to make them big again. We went through a period where we tried to make them as small as we could.
small
Now
as
we're making them as
possible,
big as
yeah.
we can. I don't know. What's
I,
going on?
I remember when my mom was saying, because she works at a rental car agency,
Huh.
and she was talking about how they have phones built into the cars. she thought that was the coolest thing.
Oh, back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah,
phone
yeah.
was big. You could like open the console thing and pick up the phone and be like,
that is...
yeah.
yeah.
Like, you know, that was like...
That was the coolest thing.
Yeah. See, her, I remember way back, the phone was like that big. It was like a big old thing. It was a brick. Now that was before the nice little, you know, 90s, you know.
Oh, you're talking about those big satellite phones?
Yeah, the big old thing that people would truck around with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you see those Vietnam War movies, and they get the big green box with the thing.
Yeah.
Target this area. Let me put this back in my pocket. Crap.
I had a question actually from somebody that came in on one of, because on my radio show channel, as you know, I have a lot of behind the scenes footage or extra footage of stuff we did with the Ghostwriters, and somebody asked about all the little props and stuff we've used and what happens to them all. Like, say, you wanted, sure.
We give them to you. He's the keeper of the props. Prop master.
I have the mustache, the foam mustache from that episode.
Yeah.
And I have somewhere the poster, or I may have sent it to a fan. The poster that we use when you stretch down, you're like aging posters, and I came up behind it and pushed the knife through it.
Yeah.
I had that for a while. Either I still have it or I sent it to somebody.
Well, that's, either way. I take that stuff for granted. I think it's just sitting in the stuff when you haven't been part of is probably sitting in the back of my truck. Yeah. Aging. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's really exciting to see the Ghostwriters Channel just turning into this big thing that it is.
Well, you know, that's...
the thousands of views.
You are partially responsible for that, because you've not only been in them, but you encouraged me to do them. So.
I do remember that. You asked me, hey, should I do a YouTube channel? I said, yeah. And I remember you shot that first...
trailer with
first trailer, with Dan, and I just remember laughing. Yeah. And I watched it like 10 times. Yeah. I was at work, and I remember having my laptop set up, and I remember watching a video and laughing, and I would text you or call you or something. And...
No, I'm pleased the way it's going. I really am, and I appreciate all the help you've given me. And I love doing more of these skits. And as you guys know, we don't do enough skits because we both work the same amount of hours and the same schedule. So it comes down to weekends, and weekends are kind of tough.
They're dicey.
They're dicey.
Really,
so that's why we did a couple of things today. We might do some more after we're done filming here.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. But I just want to say,
if you just quit your job, things would be better.
Yeah, right. Come on,
I'm not quitting my job. You got to quit your job.
Okay. All right. Deal.
I'm too old to find another job. You're.
Well, let's just quit and just do this stuff.
Yeah. Did you hear that?
So make it happen, guys.
There's 100,000
subscribers
to
the Arizona Ghostwriters.
Might be able to do that. I don't know. That'd be cool.
No,
how's your radio show going? Are you liking it?
Yeah, I mean, this is where this is going to be. Is on the BATJAC JW radio show.
But it's going to be visual, right? Because the radio show sometimes.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's just old school radio.
Are you just going to have a picture of us like?
Yeah. There's a lot of thumbnails, pictures. Like there's one was my favorite one, and it's me tearing tape off your mouth.
Yeah.
And you're going, like you have that look, and I'm just like.
My mustache hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you get a lot of people listening to it. I listen to it.
Yeah, I do. A lot of people, and a lot of people have been liking the chat about movies and whatnot. So I've been really enjoying that, talking about movies.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to Dan about this. Dirty Rotten Car Cheat. I was talking to Dan, and Dan.
Well, you're gonna get it next episode.
Yeah, I know.
He watches this.
You're very young, and you have this knowledge of older movies that most people in your generation don't
even care about.
And I think it's fascinating. I think it's amazing. He pulls quotes out of movies that I saw when I was like 10, and I haven't seen since. It's pretty impressive. I think that if you nurture that more on YouTube, I think you get a lot of people who'd be interested.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that because see now where that comes from is when I was that young you know, 7, 8 years old on the weekends with
Last
my
year?
father. Yeah, right. Just last year. Sucks that 40's coming down.
Is it?
Yeah.
I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No.
Your father. Yeah.
But you know, on the weekend it was like, oh, what are we gonna do? Well, let's go to Blockbuster, or let's go to, you know, in my town was Dr. Video. That was the place to go.
Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Video.
Dr. Video.
Yeah. And he had, I remember the logo was a cartoony drawing of a doctor with that little reflective cap thing.
Yeah.
And then he had scissors and a videotape, and he was fixing the tape.
Wow.
Yeah, and because, you know, everything was VHS.
Sure.
Or
Splicing the tape.
or what was the other one?
Beta.
Betamax, yeah, or Beta. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was either, you had those two. So, but we would go in there and we'd like, hey, what are we going to get? And my dad would be like, let's rent Dirty Harry. You ever seen Dirty Harry? You know?
That's so stupid.
Yeah. Because a
Charles
lot of the
Bronson.
stuff, yeah, well, a lot of stuff during that time, the very early 90s, there was nothing really like, there was a lot of crap movies coming out.
Early 90s?
Yeah. There was very seldomly, like, you had the franchise stuff, you had, you know, the Lethal Weapon was on its tail end, you know, Die Hard was, you know, at the time it was tired, and, you know,
That's
it
true.
was still Die
It was
Hard.
an end of an era. For
Yeah, it was an
certain
end of an
nations.
era where all the good stuff was literally from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
And that's all stuff that my dad was like, you know, that's the good stuff. So, yeah, we were watching, like, Raw Deal and Commando and Dirty Harry, and, of course, every John Wayne film that ever existed.
Right.
But I really enjoyed it. I think, to me, that's a time of cinema that you can't make movies like that.
Yeah. Videos and movies nowadays, you know, I love them. I love, a lot of people say, oh, it's too overproduced, too many special effects. Well, me as an effects guy, I love watching it.
Oh, yeah,
But you're right. I sort of miss Arnold Schwarzenegger running through a field with some version of an M60 machine gun, and everybody's shooting at him and missing, and he turns around and lets off a blast and kills 17 people. You know, I miss that kind of stuff.
It was definitely like,
Because you had practical explosions going on. You know, you didn't have any digital explosions.
right? Yeah,
Right.
everything was practical.
And nowadays, when they make an explosion, they don't just make a little explosion. Like a hand grenade is the size of a, you know,
It blows
a
the
40-ton
building
bomb
down,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
The-
So, it's a little different.
yeah. Or, you know, like, I love, like, a lot of people don't know who Dick Smith is.
Oh yeah.
Dick Smith, the effects artist, he did The Exorcist, which is still regarded as one of the most frightening movies of all time. The 70s. It still is scary
Yeah,
as heck.
it's pretty freaky.
It is.
Yeah.
It's extremely freaky. Now, he did the effects for Taxi Driver.
What?
Yeah.
What? The makeup or the
Okay, so the end where he goes in.
when he gets shot in the neck
Yeah, and all that, right? So remember the scene where he takes that magnum and he blows the guy's hand off?
Yeah.
Dick Smith created a false wax hand, filled it with like explosives and blood, and if you watch, that goes off next to the guy's face.
Oh wow.
But I mean, you're talking 1975, 76. They weren't, none of that, you know, they just went, oh, here, just put it together and set it off and see what happens. They
Wow.
weren't concerned with, oh my God, if this guy gets hurt, he's going to sue us. They weren't, none of that
You know,
existed.
I have a question. You may know the answer to this. Maybe not. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Gunfight at OK Corral.
Yeah,
with,
isn't Johnny Cash in that?
No further.
Or who's in, somebody?
No, it's Kirk Douglas played Doc Holliday.
Yeah, Kirk
And
Douglas
Burt
is in it.
Lancaster played
Okay.
Wyatt Earp, I believe.
I had it on videotape.
Anyway,
I want it.
there's a sequence when Doc Holliday's at the bar in this saloon, and Lee Van Cleef is this bad guy sitting at a table, and he's digging in his boot. I put it in a video. Digging his boot for a Derringer because he's going to shoot Doc Holliday in the back. Well, Doc Holliday's watching him. Kirk Douglas is watching him in the mirror. And just as he stands up, turns around and he throws a knife. Kirk Douglas throws a knife, and it sticks into Lee Van Cleef's chest, and he dies. It's awesome. And half the people don't know that's Lee Van Cleef. But I slowed it down. The knife is going through the frames and into something that Lee Van Cleef is wearing. Now I looked, there doesn't look like there's a pad or anything. How would they have done that back then? Because I know that they shot arrows at people that were dull tipped and they would stick into foam that was in their shirts, but how would they do a knife? Do you know?
Unless it was on a cable.
Because this is like 1950 50 something.
It could have been the old Three Stooges gag where they just launched it on a cable. It could have been that, or they could have done it in reverse. They could have stuck it in
and pulled it out with a
pulled
string.
It out with pulled it out and just had them reverse action that.
Wow, that's probably what they did.
Yeah, because I'm a big Stooges fan, and a lot of the effects that applied then in the 30s, 40s apply now. I mean, that's practical effects.
That is really smart. I never thought of that.
Yeah, they probably just reversed the shot.
Now I got to watch it like 5 more times.
Yeah. Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter, many final chapters ago. There's a scene where it was kind of gruesome, but he cleavers the guy in the face. And the way they did it was they just did it in reverse. Because you see this full effect, whack, and you're like, whoa.
So they basically placed it against his face.
Yeah, and then
he had blood. And stuff
and
on
he
his
had
face.
blood and everything, and then they just
Huh.
reversed the.
Gosh, I never think of that. That's pretty...
That's the way to do it sometimes.
I was watching another channel, and they were talking about how they film action sequences and how that they can make certain things look faster by cutting frames out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I'm sure they did that in a lot of movies as well, where they just sped up they probably just sped it up to make it look faster.
The ending of Taxi Driver, because of its time, they deemed it too gruesome, too horrific. They wanted Scorsese to cut pieces out of it. He refused to do so. So what they did was they desaturated the color. So if you watch the ending of that movie, all of a sudden when he pulls up in his cab before he shoots Harvey Keitel, the color is like
almost black
bleached
and white.
out. Yeah. And that's why everything looks so watered down, is because they had to.
Do you think that's why they did that, like in the Sam Peckinpah movies, because all the blood looked orange? Do you think that... Have we had this discussion before?
Yeah, I think so. The only thing I can discover about that was what Tom Savini said, another great special effects artist during the 80s and whatnot. He said when they did Dawn of the Dead in 78.
Oh yeah, orange, pinkish
right,
blood.
It was like pinkish blood. He says the reason is because at the time, what was available was stage blood, which was used for stage performances, which looked great live, but if you photographed it, it turned out like
really
a weird, odd, like melted lipstick color, which was like, what the heck is that? You know, like why? But see, they didn't have formulas for fake blood. They were just using what was available. It wasn't until, from what I heard, is Dick Smith again developed the classic recipe for movie blood.
Fructose.
Yeah, the old classic stuff. Yeah, and for some reason he added photo flow chemicals into it.
Photo flow.
Yeah, I don't know why he did it. Photo flow was stuff that you used for developing photos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's something I did in high school, and that shows you how, like, now nobody cares about anything like that.
Huh. It was a red colored.
No, photo flow was some kind of chemical, and I never understood why that was an ingredient in it.
But you couldn't put it in your mouth, though.
No, heck no. Probably get sick.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
I don't know. But
Wow.
thanks for watching, and thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
I'm sure everybody missed us.
Yep.
But we're here.
Yep.
So, appreciate it, guys.
Well, that ended quickly.